Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Words of Heart podcast. I am your host, Dion Sanchez, and joining me today in this awesome episode is Sue Bowles. I hope I said that right.
Bowls, like a cereal bowl.
Sue Bowles. Thank you for joining me today, Sue.
Thanks for having me, Dion. I'm looking forward to this.
Awesome. So, Sue, if you could give my audience the insight into you, who you are, who is Sue Bowles? To get started, that would be great.
Sure. Well, I can tell you what I do, and then we'll get into who I am behind all that a little later. I am a master certified life coach, and I do a lot of podcasts every year. I wrote a book in 2019 that won an award, so I'm officially an award-winning author. I do a lot. I was pretty excited for that. I do a lot of speaking on college campuses, and mainly as a seminar speaker, state conferences, a couple national conferences. So I lead My Step Ahead, and we are an organization that's committed to breaking the stigma around mental health issues. So whatever I do has to do with that. So that's my heart, that's my pulse. And that's what I want to do, is simply help get the message out there that it's okay to not be okay, and you don't have to have it all together. And it happens in a wide variety of ways, including this podcast. And it brings me joy to be able to help others who are on their journeys.
Awesome. So you said you're a real advocate for mental health. Has mental health affected you before you started your organization, or how has mental health truly affected you? If you don't mind going more deeper into that.
Oh, no, open book. Mental health affected me, started actually, even though I didn't realize it, when I was 7 years old. And I want to give a quick trigger warning. A couple of things I'm going to share here have to do with sexual assault, have to do with depression and being suicidal. If anything like that is triggering for you, including eating disorders, I really want you to take some time, have a self-care plan. If you need to put this on pause or come back to it later, please do that. I don't want my story to hurt you as you are healing. So I always try to put that out there. Having said that, mental health started affecting me when I was raped when I was 7 years old, and a classmate of mine in first grade enticed me into the woods and held me against my will for 45 minutes. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I didn't tell anybody for 15 years into my senior year of college. And I didn't realize then, I didn't make the connection between the struggles I was having and that event for quite some time. Anyone who's a little familiar with it, and you can research it on the internet, knows that trauma literally rewires your brain. So if you can imagine a 7-year-old brain that is just developing and just starting to be able to learn, you're only 2 years into school, and my brain rewired itself, and it went into fight or flight syndrome. And I lived that way for 15 plus years. So that's where it started. A lot of offshoots came from that. I was depressed. I've been suicidal twice. I developed an eating disorder in college. There were other sexual assaults from kids in high school. And I didn't realize how much it was tied to that one event for many, many years. And even though I was in and out of counseling for a long time, I was a troubled kid. I was very insecure. I didn't feel valued. And I tried to find my worth through activity. So in high school and college, I was over involved because my worked out mind interpreted it that if I was seen, I had value. And if I had value, I mattered to somebody. So I stayed busy, because if I stayed busy, I didn't have to think. And if I didn't have to think, I didn't have to feel. And if I didn't have to feel, I didn't have to deal with my stuff. So I hid behind activity. And it wasn't until 2014 that I really started dealing with the rape. Over 40 years after the event, I finally started dealing with it. But I've done the hard work, and it is a lot of hard work. And I stand here now on the other side, able to define the effects those events have on me as compared to letting them rule me. I make that decision now. They don't control me, I control them. And it took a long time with a whole lot of support to be able to get to that point. But that's where I am now. And what I do now is a result of that hard work, because I want to be for someone else what others were for me. And it all starts with the simple message of it's okay to not be okay.
um I'm sorry. I was listening, and thank you for sharing that, truly. And no, I have something else to follow up with that, but I can't think of anything at the moment. But you're absolutely right that it's okay not to be okay. I think there's a song by this artist named Mabel, which is like an anxiety anthem, which I'll share later perhaps. But I can understand as far as suicidal thoughts, I can relate to that in a little bit of a way. Just to give you further insight into who I am as far as mental health pertaining to me, for the first 2 years of my life, I couldn't hear her talk. So as a result, that brought many challenges that were out of my control because of how I was born and wired, and just my development was very slow as a result. So I had difficulty fitting in and gaining acceptance from my peers, and just ultimate rejection, it seems, from when I was little to my preteen years, for a great deal. And as a result of that, I felt like there was something wrong with me, like, why I'm not important, if, like, what's the point of being here if I'm just gonna have no friends and be alone. As far as my form of therapy and how to manage that, I did have family and friends, but I didn't have a lot of friends. I think the friend factor is what was sorely lacking as far as me finding worth within myself. So I leaned on God and my faith, and it took literally till me getting into high school on 8th grade, summer year of 8th grade, or however long ago that was, for me to have that epiphany moment that I am important, that I am loved, there are people that care about me outside of my family, and that if I were to just end my life right now, that it would be deeply affected by everyone. So I do have a life worth living. So I can understand a great deal from my own experience as far as suicidal thoughts, but and I think that's what joys about this podcast, and part of why, actually not even part of it, really why I started to begin with, because we're all struggling with mental health, especially during this crazy pandemic season. And if I could help others get through their emotions a bit easier, or just have a smile on their face to be like, hey, there's somebody just like you, you're not alone in this, then that truly warms my heart as far as helping people through this.
Right. And I think right now with this whole pandemic thing, and, here we are, 20 some months, 22 months or 20 months or whatever into it. And, it's like, here we go, around 4. And it's just nonstop. And yeah, there's the weariness behind it, but the bigger issue behind it is the toll it's taking on everybody. Everybody's feeling very weary, very, I think it's past fatigue.
Yeah.
I think it's worn out. I think it's beat up and worn out and worn down. And that affects so much. It affects not only how we feel about ourselves, but it affects how we interact with other people. If we're not feeling good about ourselves, we're not going to feel good about interacting with someone else. Think of a day when whatever it is just set you off and you aren't irritable. You're probably not a pleasant person to be around, no matter who you're with. Do that for 20 months. I mean, we're having so much damage to our everyday relationships that really we're probably okay moving into, leaning into this. And now it's just like, I just need something to change. Nothing's changing. And, you're my punching bag and I don't mean to. And yet it happens again and again and again. So everything and everyone is being challenged right now. And I don't know there's going to be a quick exit to it. There sure hasn't been for the last 20 months anyway.
Absolutely. And I can understand being aggravated and annoyed. I certainly had my own emotional breakdowns throughout this pandemic, one time or another. Just to add on to how else I've been adapting to this pandemic. And I'm sure many people have other struggles as well, as far as isolating, quarantine, being away from your family, especially during the holidays, which could be really saddening for those. I actually, man, I'm like chuckling here because it's been 2 years of this pandemic, which means this news I'm sharing with you, it's been 2 years as well. I got diagnosed with diabetes at the start of the pandemic, 2020. So as far as adapting to this unfortunate circumstances, along with everybody else, I also had to adapt to this new health change within my body that
Right.
I didn't foresee coming, but that
Right.
circumstance was a blessing. Many people might not see it as a blessing, but I was on the brink of death before I got diagnosed. So I can't hate 2020 as much as everybody. I probably hate it like 5%, but there was a good chance I wouldn't have lived to see 2020 either. So yeah, it has been wearing and annoying, and I wish there was a direct answer to, hey, let's get back to normal, or let's go back to 2018, or some fundamental year where life was chaotic, but it wasn't like deadly, if that makes sense. But
Right.
unfortunately, we are where we are right now. And the best way we can do is adapt, even though we don't want to adapt, but such as my podcast, and there's other resources, there's ways to buckle through this. It's not going to be a fun buckle, but it will help in some way. So speaking of your helping, you mentioned you wrote a book in 2019. How has that helped during this season, considering the year it came out right before 2020?
Yeah, it's weird because, I started the book in 2015, 2014, 2015, somewhere around there, and kind of pepped at it. And then what I originally envisioned for the book kind of changed as the book started taking shape. And then I started dealing with my eating disorder, and I had to take a year off because I just didn't have the emotional strength to deal with anything else. And then came back to it. And by the time the book was done, 2019, I just decided I'm done playing with this thing. I'm going to get it done. I had a deadline for myself, and I was going to hit that deadline. And I did. And the book came out September 19th, 2019. And found out November 2020, it won second place in the Faith and Fellowship Book Festival. So it is officially an award-winning book. And that was real encouraging for me. It was my first book. It's self-published, and it won an award. So I'm thinking God's telling me I'm doing the right thing and I'm on the right trail. I am working on book number 2, and I have concepts and working titles for books 2, 3, and 4. I just have to get them from my head through past my fingers right now. So, so that, that helped in a lot of ways. And honestly, that actually opened the door for a lot of podcasts. So that was a nice relief in 2020 as things were starting to happen. But I think what's been most encouraging is reading some of the comments of the readers. If they're kind enough to leave a review on Amazon, last I checked, I think there's about 18 of them on there right now. And to read some of these comments is very encouraging to and then kind of blows me away. It's like, my words had that effect, to know that one of the people who read it said she didn't know if she wanted to hit me, throw the book, or hug me. I found that to be a really wide range of emotion, but that told me that there was something striking very deep for her, and it gave her permission to start working her healing journey, and the power of words to do that is very awe-inspiring and very humbling. To know that me just simply sharing my story is having that effect on other people. It's not something I take lightly, and it does mean a lot to me. It helps things make sense. It helps it helps put some understanding and some purpose out of the tragedies. And, when you can find purpose and then a resulting passion as a result of things that you've experienced, and you see that then helping affect other lives, I don't know there's anything greater that can really happen just for someone. And that's been very encouraging and very humbling as well.
That's amazing. I truly admire you and believe everything you said. Truly in the midst of the darkest of circumstances is when in my own story, as far as before I got diagnosed, because it was a really depressing period. And I had just turned 24 in November. I was sick, everything. I was basically a skeleton. It was just so saddening and heart-aching for everyone in my family. I had
Right.
outbursts, I exploded at people. I
Mhm.
mean, I do get defensive, but I literally physically yelled because I was so emotionally exhausted and annoyed at because there was no solution yet as to what
Right.
was happening to me. And it was just a really dark period. And it was during the holidays when we were supposed to be happy and everything. And it was through my diagnosis, which again is a blessing in itself, that I really truly felt the magnitude of God's love for me and that through that experience. So I can understand the light in the darkest of circumstances, their purpose being within those wounds, even though it may take some time to figure out how those wounds serve a purpose. But I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and it took a long time. I went through a really, really long period of just being hacked off of God. Just hacked off. Like, where were you? Why did you let this happen? Why did you, just up one side and down the other, just the questions and the anger and the frustration and the confusion and the the not understanding and blaming and just everything you go through. And it wasn't, I started my healing journey honestly in 2014, over 40 years past the event, and I was finally starting to deal with it. And through that process, and it was not short and it was not painless, and it's not for the faint of heart either, shall I say. But through that now, my step ahead has come. Everything I'm doing now was birthed through that. And it was almost like that healing journey was a bunch of birthing pains for my purpose, my passion, my purpose, my direction for life all started when I started to deal with my issues. And that all started when I dared to believe that I mattered. Because until you believe you matter, nothing's going to change. Your attitude's not going to change, your circumstances aren't going to change, or they're definitely not going to get better. And until I dared to believe what others were telling me, that I mattered, that God loved me, and Jesus Christ was absolutely crazy about me. And he not only loved me, but he liked me. Until I really started, I dared to believe them. And once I started walking in that direction, then it became, over time, easier to believe because I found it to be true.
Whew. I am loving this conversation so much. So I would like to get to the icebreaker part of this awesome conversation because it's a fun part. All right. I'll start with the icebreaker question. Although if you may be really good at this one because I do a lot of people. And your brain is a writer's mind, so it sort of makes it easy. So if you had to come up with a title or chapter for where your life is at this current moment in time, not in a past life or a future life, right now, or it can pertain to the future because tomorrow is a day away. If you had to come up with a title or chapter for where your life is at right now, what would it be?
Coming back to life.
Wow.
coming back to life, because that is where God has me right now. We're still coming out of some grief. It's been 14 and a half months since we lost my mom, and we lost her October 5th, 2020. She moved in with me in 1997. And for the last 8 years of her life, I was her caregiver. And, when you lose somebody, it's bad enough to lose your mom.
Yeah.
When you lose your mom and you've lived with her and she's lived with you longer than you've lived without her, that's a big chunk and a purpose in your life. That was my identity, was mom's caregiver. So working through the grief and just having to work through that very painful process. And I'm not all the way through it yet. I'm better this year than I was last. But I had yesterday trying to put up Christmas decorations. I was having I was unraveling just because I was just frustrated, and like, can anything be normal this year? And so just, I go on a retreat at least once a year with walking stick retreats. And the theme in October this year was new. And God did a real work in my life and helped me let go of mom. And with that, it helped me start seeing things as they are now, and not trying to hold on. It's almost like I was trying to hold on to her leg while she was still in heaven, trying to not quite let her go, and holding myself back, feeling like I wasn't grieving her right. And everything you go through in the grieving process, questioning everything you're doing, and am I doing it right? Well, there is no right, it is all that. So my chapter would be coming back to life, because I am coming back to life. I have more spring in my step than I did this time last year. And I'm discovering my new identity, and learning to have fun with that, and learning that I honor mom's legacy of resilience that she taught us through her life, by continuing to follow God's plan for my life and that purpose. So it'd be coming back to life, and it's been kind of fun. So.
That's great. And that's a beautiful title. And I am so sorry for your loss, truly.
Thanks.
My heart goes out to you and going through this, especially right now with this chaoticness still going on. So
Yeah, it was just the whole journey. Yeah. So but she's not feeling any pain now, and she's certainly not in a wheelchair. So that thought makes me happy. So
so this will be the part where I share my title. I already gave you a good synopsis of bits and pieces of my life. So what I'm going to share isn't that much of a surprise, I think. So my title or chapter for where my life is currently at this moment, it really initiated this thought process in 2020 when I got diagnosed with diabetes. And that's this particular title or phrase or mantra has shifted forward since 2020, which is basically being a warrior for change. I've
like that.
undergone a lot of health issues, as you just now realize. Couldn't hear or talk when I was younger, and then I did talk and had to adjust and fit in. And then when it seemed like my life was relatively easy in my 20s, I just got a whammy of possibly being on the brink of death, and then getting diagnosed with diabetes during this pandemic. And that's a whole other can of worms, being diagnosed with anything when there was no vaccine yet. So I currently feel that a warrior truly represents and is symbiotic to who I am and where I am at right now and going to be at this point moving forward. Actually, I saw a post a couple hours ago that people are doing word of the years instead of New Year's resolutions, which I find really interesting because I can fully understand the depths and the power a word has, particularly the warrior part, because God placed that on my heart when I got diagnosed, because I had no idea what I was going to face yet, but He did. So I just feel really connected to that particular word, and it just represents who I am right now, and basically my mantra on everything I post in a way. So
Good.
So on to the fun icebreaker game. I'm excited because this puts my guests in a giggly mood,
Uh-oh.
or really me in a
Uh-oh.
giggly mood, 'cause it's really for you and I get to do it. So this game is called Song Association. You don't have to be an avid singer. You can be a shower singer and still have fun. How the game works is I give you a word. See, words are a fundamental factor in this game. So I give you a word and you can either sing it, rap it. It has to be a actual song. You cannot make it up.
Wow.
Many people have been asking, like, can I make up the song? Like, no. I might make a new game for the next season where you can make up songs. But for this game, you can either sing it, rap it. It can be in the song title or in the lyrics. It has to be in one or the two. So there's a loophole in the lyrics. However, and this is where your brain plays tricks on you. You have 15 seconds from the time I give you the word to come up with either it being in the song title or in the lyrics. Also, since this plays into words, it can't be the name of an artist.
Okay.
Just to make that clear, because I'm pretty sure there's a name of an artist at some point with these words, but yeah, that's about it. So I'm just gonna get my handy dandy timer here. This is gonna be fun. And I just changed the word, one of the words recently. So where is it? Clock timer. Okay. So the first word is heart.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
I actually believe you that it's an actual song. I don't know who sings it.
It is.
All right. So that's good. Already got one down. So the next one, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get this one, but I feel like people should be able to understand this if you know enough music. So the next word is words.
Words. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I'm coming up nothing. I got nothing.
Well, some of the
I'm thinking DC Talk. There's got to be something in there with DC Talk. It's just not coming to my mind right now.
that is a really popular band, and I'm sure they do have a word in their song, but I couldn't think of the song off the top of my head. But I can give you the answer some previous guests have given. There's this song called More Than Words by the band Extreme that they've given, although I'm more familiar with another artist covering that particular song. So the last word, I'm curious how you're gonna do, because I changed it recently, and I think you're the first guest that's gonna be given this word to figure out a song with it. So, but I know there's a song with this. I'm 100% certain. So the last word, ooh, this should be fun. The last word is scream.
I scream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream.
At all, but I know that's a song.
Now you're thinking, what flavor ice cream do I want?
I was not thinking scream when I decided to change the word.
Gotcha on that one.
Yes, you got all the words. Wait, you didn't get the.
No, I missed words. There's got to be DC Talk song. I know there is.
I'll have to look. I think I have one of their songs on my phone. I'm sure they have one, but that was so much fun. So thank you for partaking in that. I'm probably gonna have some ice cream later. Unfortunately, since I can't have ice cream on my computer screen, we are out of time. Do you have any social media links or website links for my audience? Is your book going to turn into a movie on the moon someday? Give us the inside scoop. I see where did scoop ice cream.
Yeah,
Inside
that was good. That was good.
inside scoop into how my audience can connect with you.
Probably the best place is through my website. It's suebowles.com. It's BOWLES. Again, I'm a master certified life coach, and my purpose is to help you get where you want to go. You know, I work with clients who want something better for themselves. I offer a 15-minute free consultation. You can go to my website and fill out the little form there. I'll be in touch. We can talk for a little bit and see how I can best help you. So I've got suebowles.com. My Step Ahead also has a website. This is mystepahead.com. And My Step Ahead is also on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on Facebook as Sue Bowles Coaching. So I'm kind of out there everywhere. The book is available on Amazon and Kindle. It's called This Much I Know, The Space Between. And there's also links to it from my websites. But I think the one thing I would want to let people know is that you matter. And I dare you to believe that. And even just start to believe. No matter what you've gone through, no matter what has happened to you, first of all, it's not your fault. And someone needs to hear that very clearly. It is not your fault. But how you respond to it is your responsibility from here. Once you have that understanding of what happened and start learning how it has affected you, then you have choices you have to make. They are not easy choices, but they can affect the trajectory of your life like you would not believe. It all starts with daring to believe you matter. Because until we matter, we don't have hope, and nothing happens without hope. That's why I call myself a hope coach, because I help people mine for hope, because they want something better for themselves. And I get to help them find it so they can see their dreams become present reality. So please go to my website, suebowles.com, fill out the form. I would love to talk to you and see how I can help you get something better for yourself that you're wanting that you don't know how to get.
Awesome. Beautifully said. I couldn't say better myself, truly. Thank you again, Sue Bowles, for joining me. This was a wonderful conversation, and I'm probably going to get some ice cream now as a result.
All right. Thank you so much, Deanna. I appreciate it.
No problem. Again, to all my listeners, thank you for joining us in this awesome episode. If you like this episode, if you want to subscribe, tweet, send it to the moon, here are the ways to do that in the following platforms. You can find us on Facebook at the Words of Heart Podcast. We're also on YouTube and wherever you can listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google. You can also send ratings on Spotify podcasts as well. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or a rating. That would be awesome. And of course, if you need to get in touch for whatever reason, if your heart desires, if you need to talk to someone, feel free to reach out to Sue Bowles, my guest here, and myself as well. You can talk to me on Twitter at HeartWarrior24 and on Instagram at HeartWarrior25. I dare you to follow up with what Sue Bowles said. You are important. You do matter. You are a warrior. Dare to be that. And I'm mixing up my words here. But the point of the matter is you're not alone. Life is rough. It's a journey. You can get through the journey. You just have to have faith. So stay healthy, stay safe. I hope you guys enjoy this holiday season and just know that you're not alone. And until next time, bye.